Well, the FA Cup is finally delivered again. I don't know why I said finally. I mean, pretty sure, what was it? Last year we got Manchester United getting bounced by a 4th division team. Well, this time we're getting one of the all-time stories. Genuinely, I think this goes right up the top of the list of the largest upset just in terms of the league position difference between the two teams. Not to mention, it's the first time that an FA Cup champion has been knocked out by a non-league team since 1909, which just little fun side fact there. That win was actually Crystal Palace beating Wolves in 1909. So Crystal Palace has lost. They are the FA Cup champions. They lost to Macclesfield FC. Macclesfield FC, the artist formerly known as Macclesfield Town, is a non-league 6th division English team that managed to go onto a pitch against a side assembled by a Premier League squad and beat them. It started with a goal from their captain, Paul Dawson, who looks exactly how you would expect, but listen to the freaking crowd pop on this, dude. Give me that again. Give me that again. Give me Paul Dawson again. Get up on the boards, mate. So at that point, obviously, they score a goal. They're leading against the Premier League team. They're going, this is absolutely insane. Okay, and you know, you see a lot of the people in the stands go, this is unbelievable. Because the huge story of this match would be, wow, Macclesfield actually took the lead against Crystal Palace before, of course, Crystal Palace inevitably scored 3 or 4 goals and the match just ended. But then they scored again. And the goal is a little ridiculous. It falls. I mean, this is actually, I think, American Chris Richards, so I don't want to shout him out too much here because he's actually been amazing this season, but he kind of glances off the side of his afro here. Complete scrum. Insane scrum. He sticks out his leg and stabs it home, and it just trickles tantalizingly by a goalkeeper who's fully going the other direction, right? Like in full reversal of his body momentum, and he's trying to get back across, and he can't do it. It's the most non-league, goal that you could possibly score. And it's not like Macclesfield's gone out here and just swaggered it up against Crystal Palace. Obviously, that's not an option, right? That's not possible. Really, the only way Macclesfield was going to be able to win this match was doing some shit like this. And they did some shit like this. Going up 2-0, there was a goal scored to draw things back in the 90th minute from Jeremy Pino, which is hilarious because that's just another guy that you know. And statistically speaking, Crystal Palace had 72% of the ball. But Macclesfield did brilliantly. Wayne Rooney's brother is the manager of this team, and my goodness, they actually had more XG in this match and more shots than Crystal Palace did. Just putting aside Macclesfield for a second, because there's a lot of magic parts about this Macclesfield story, completely embarrassing for Crystal Palace. I mean, you just didn't show up. You just didn't show up, right? The lineup of this Crystal Palace team is more than good enough. Like, Wharton was in the team. Chris Richards was in the team. Ended up with actually a 7.7. Mark Gay was in the team. Jeremy Pino was out there, obviously. Like, this team's more than good enough. There is, an 100 out of 100, you should be winning this match against Macclesfield, who managed. I mean, the fact that Macclesfield's actually made it to the 3rd round of the FA Cup is an unbelievable achievement, right? It's a club-changing achievement, the amount of money Macclesfield is getting from getting all the way to the 3rd round, right? They start in the preliminary rounds. They don't even start in round 1. They have battled their way to this point. They draw the reigning champions of the FA Cup, and they get them at their park, and they beat them, right? Actually club-changing stuff. But this is just insane for Crystal Palace. They're still riding high. they're still riding on fumes. The Crystal Palace fans that made the trip actually, they applauded and everything. They clapped them off the field. They were very classy about it because they finally won their first trophy since cavemen were around. The first trophy ever, actually. The cavemen didn't even know about a Crystal Palace trophy. But this is not exactly the way that you would want to follow that up, by showing up and just delivering. I mean, this is a dud of a performance. You're hoping, if you're Crystal Palace, this is going to light a fire, and the team's going to reacquire their focus because they managed to go out there and get outperformed by Macclesfield over the course of 90 minutes. Obviously, the 2 goals Macclesfield scored. The first goal was a nice header. Second goal is just some wild scrum. The ball ends up in the back of the net. You got to be able to deal with that. I mean, sure, Macclesfield's a non-league team. You're a Premier League team. I don't care if you got some guys that don't normally play out there. You're a Premier League team. You got to have the quality and the decisiveness and the ability to deal with that type of play before it gets to that point for Macclesfield. But I am incredibly happy for Macclesfield because you might have noticed I said Macclesfield FC. That's because Macclesfield Town, a team that I am familiar with because they used to be a league football team. When you would fire up FIFA and start in the 4th Division of England, Macclesfield Town was an option. They were liquidated due to debts in 2020. The club was literally liquidated. The entity of the club disappeared, and Macclesfield FC had to restart in the 9th tier. Obviously, it had some of the apparatus that it was still able to use for Macclesfield Town. They restarted in the 9th tier. They've made it back up to the 6th tier of English football. They are clearly trying to work their way back up to potentially being a league football team. And this run is going to help a lot. When you think about a community that's always around any of these clubs, particularly in the lower leagues of England, when you have your club liquidated, it's an absolute tragedy. And to be able to bounce back from that and just a short 6 years later be able to beat a Premier League team in the FA Cup, let alone the holders of the FA Cup, is the magic of the sport. It's why I hope the English lower leagues stay alive forever, because the English leagues are deeper than the leagues in any other country in the world, even Brazil, right? Because the English leagues you're going all the way down to the 6th division, and you're finding teams that can conceivably get on a field and actually get this result against a Premier League team. It's possible for them to do that. And they've got the fans, and they got that little stadium, and just the atmosphere and that community. It's special. And in the modern world with the internet and shit, more rare than ever. Now, you got to hang on to that. It is such a spectacular thing to be able to witness as well. But there's another special part of it. I'll give you the final whistle first, because the final whistle pop is obviously great. Always thought a genuine loser behavior to go after the Crystal Palace players like a couple of those guys did. You should just be running to celebrate with your players in a situation like this, because it's unbelievable what just happened. But a great crowd pop. They got the thing up on the board to please stay off the pitch. This is a great tweet. Macclesfield putting that up while their owner is down front trying to climb the boardings. That's, Hey, if there was ever a time to storm the pitch, this will be it. This is likely the greatest moment in the history of Macclesfield FC that they'll ever have. That is entirely possible. Certainly the greatest moment they've had in a long time, considering they spiraled into liquidation and non-league just 6 years ago. So get on the field. Tap dance on the field if you want. But what makes this extra special, actually, is Macclesfield had a player that died in a car crash a month ago. And so this is a very therapeutic thing, not just in the sense of overcoming the liquidation of the club and the trials and tribulations the club's been through the last decade, but this season. There was 21-year-old forward Ethan McLeod. They actually had his parents there. These are his parents, hanging out and hugging with the team. Obviously, they all know each other after the match. That's just really special. It's special, and I'm very happy. Obviously, can't imagine what his family's going through, and even his teammates are going through, but that they're able to have this kind of super happy, positive experience and say that they're able to dedicate it to him. They still have his spot in the dressing room preserved. They've got his picture above the seat. So that's obviously really special. It's really tragic when somebody dies, particularly suddenly, like a car accident, which is what happened in this case. And for them to be able to then produce this unbelievable magic moment, you can kind of just go, that's a really special thing for this club, for this community that's around the club. So outside of just this is an amazing upset, outside of the club had to reform and they've worked their way back to the 6th division for this moment, also being able to pay tribute to Ethan McLeod, who was on the team and literally died, is a pretty special offshoot of all of this. Then you got to remember these guys are non-league too, and the best thing about non-league football is I've been able to be around it some in England is that these guys they knock a Premier League team out of the FA Cup, they knock out the winners of the FA Cup from last year, and then they're all just hanging out down at the local bar, having a pint. Maybe the most beautiful thing about non-league you could possibly have is that these guys are not professional athletes up on a pedestal leaving in their Benzes after the game. They literally go to the same pub that you're going to hang out after the game. So congrats to Macclesfield for all of those different things and just an absolutely unbelievable upset coming down the pipe.